I don't think there's anything hiding in Langley. I think all you have to do is get lost, truthfully, and
go for a drive.
hit a few country roads, and you'll find some really amazing treasures.
You're watching the Live, Love, Langley podcast, where we meet the people and explore the places, events, and businesses that make the community of Langley, British Columbia, such an amazing place to call home. Join your hosts and neighbors, Michael, Jorda, and Trisha, as they discover new ways to live, love Langley.
If you are watching the video version of this, you're going to see that we've got some champagne out. I didn't know this was going to happen. I opened up my Instagram this morning and was looking through it, and up pops the sign, well seasoned, and then underneath it, it writes that today was 15 years to the day that that sign went up, and tomorrow will be the day that you open the doors.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Isn't that incredible? It's gone by.
Yeah, I found an old picture of the day the sign was hung on our original location down on the Langley bypass, and 15 years ago today that sign went up, and it was so surreal to see it so big. And looking back, the sign's terrible. It's Anyhow, it's misproportionate, all the things that, you're so critical, I guess, of things that when you first start, at least in business or whatever. Anyhow, it's funny. But the sign stayed there until we moved to our location in Willoughby just a few years ago. So it's kind of cool to see that. 15 years has gone by so quickly. But, it's been an amazing ride, that's for sure.
I want to pull out your book. Now, I've got two copies of this book. This book that sits on my shelf because you signed it, and the other book that sits in my kitchen library that I sort of beat up all the time. This came out last year. Mm-hmm. It's got 70 recipes, but I don't see it as a cookbook. It's almost like a tour guide of the Fraser Valley and what makes it so special, and it's absolutely fantastic. And the book is broken down by every area has its own sort of chapter. So Langley has its own chapter, and I just want to read the first two sentences, what you wrote under Langley. You wrote, "This is my home. It is also my favorite part of the Fraser Valley for a million reasons that I think will be obvious as soon as you visit. You can almost feel the history, the charm, and the hospitality the second you set foot in the area."
It's true.
It is true. That's how I feel too. Yeah. So expand just that love for this area. What makes Langley unique and different than neighboring communities?
Gosh, I mean, if it was an easy thing that you could just say it's this thing, that's the $1 million question, I think. But it's not just one thing. It's a combination of everything. Like you said, the people who don't even live here anymore, who've taken parts of Langley away with them and still have it with them wherever they live now or wherever they travel. But really, Langley's so unique with its rural and its urban combination. I can't think of another place that provides that kind of level of diversity inside one community. We've got farmers literally out the back door of my store. I mean, Milner's right there, and they're making fresh goat cheese. It's crazy. You go from so suburban to super rural instantly, and it's so
I think it's
charming.
the community that has the most of that crossover. Mm-hmm.
There's a major overlap.
Major overlap between urban and rural. Every road trip you take in Langley, you drive through it, you see it. I mean, just from Walnut Grove to Fort Langley, you go through it, or Alder Grove to Brookswood, you go through it.
Yeah, and the diversity of what we have, like you said, you got Milner cheese, and then you've got Crouse Berries and Dray Digger and
but super modern things too.
That's what I mean.
So the distillery, Roots and Wings,
exactly.
And you've got breweries and super modern agricultural related businesses that are sort of born out of a new generation of people who are trying to sort of get back to using local ingredients and have a passion for food or beverage. It's super cool.
Advice for people that want to start adding more local into their diet.
Well, I think first and foremost, it has to be easy. So the lowest hanging fruit for anybody is to read the signs at the grocery store. Yeah. You just said that yourself, how they're starting to talk about where it's coming from. And everybody shops, whether it's at Save On Foods or Co-op or wherever they're buying their weekly groceries. And pay attention to where the food's coming from. Sometimes you have an option of buying, tomatoes from Fraser Valley or tomatoes that are grown in Chile. buy the Fraser Valley ones.
Mm-hmm.
It signifies to Safeway or Save-On, wherever you're shopping, that's important to you. Because as a consumer, that's your only power.
That's your
is
vote.
Your money.
That's your vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how you spend your money is really that's the only power you have as a consumer. And so when you tell the supermarkets, I'm buying this, local product, and it sells 1 million times better than the tomatoes that are raised or grown in Chile, then that's what they're going to continue to buy. And so that's the low-hanging fruit. That's easy to do, I think, is to read the labels and sort of understand where your food's coming from. The rest of it, beyond that, is planning, planning your trip maybe to Benetti's on the weekend and planning to put some of that meat in the freezer. So when you have to run out for groceries midweek, you've already got local food in your freezer. So it's convenience is makes it difficult for people, I think, in some cases. But you have to start somewhere, and I think that's the easiest place to start is at the grocery store. And if you don't see a lot of local products on your grocery store shelf, talk to the person working there and say, how come you're not carrying the corn from Chilliwack? Or how come you're not carrying, the berries from the Fraser Valley right now? Some of them will say, oh, we sold out. There'll be more in tomorrow, right? So as long as they know it's top of mind for you, it'll be important for them.
Angie, congratulations on 15
Yeah,
amazing years. Here's to 15 more.
Oh gosh, okay, that's not daunting at all. But like you said, there's so much to love here. I mean, I don't have any plans to leave, and we're so lucky to live here. Really, truly, we're so lucky.
I agree with you. So thank you, Angie. Thank you, Trish. I'm glad that you're feeling better. And thank you all for listening to the Live, Love, Langley podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for watching the Live, Love, Langley podcast with your hosts and neighbors Michael Thorne, Jorda Maisie, and Trisha Bongers. If you enjoyed the show, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe. The Live, Love, Langley podcast is brought to you by the Thorne Maisie Bongers Real Estate Group, helping you successfully navigate the complicated and often stressful real estate process so you can start writing the next chapter of your life's story.